welcome to Conversations with Cathy and Erin. This is part 2 of our Back to School as we taped last week. That was part 1. And we said today that we would talk about different tips on learning styles, how to, ease the mind of your children who are stressed out about starting a new year or going to a new school or going back to the same school. So we just want to touch upon these things and give you some reassurance from different stories we've heard from different parents or different children, just to ease your mind so you'll know that you're not the only one going through the back-to-school syndrome.
Exactly.
So today, with learning styles, oftentimes we all have a different style of learning.
Yes.
We're all different learners. No two people learn on the same level.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard for us as parents to detect what type of learner our child is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if I'm reading instructions and I just can't seem to get it, I read it over and over and over, and before you know it, the bell is rung.
Right.
I haven't answered not one question.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like something's wrong. I just don't get it.
Right. Sometimes it just depends on the type of personality you have, even in how you're taking in information.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were a student in class and you didn't understand it and you were reading to yourself, perhaps you're the type of learner that needs to hear it, which we call like an auditory learner. Mm-hmm. So someone that needs to hear it said to them or read to them, or that they just need to maybe read it out loud to themselves to just comprehend it differently. But there are many styles of learning. Mm-hmm. Auditory, that's one style. And another style is the type of hands-on. A person who needs to feel it, touch it, write it, take the notes, like immerse themselves physically into it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we also have, that's another style, that's 2. And the last style that we want to share with you today is the visual learner. The person that needs to see what you're talking about and understand. And a lot of times when we're in the classroom, we all use all of our senses to learn something. But there is a style that everyone has. There's a certain way everyone learns, and there's a strong way. There's the one style that's maybe your strongest way you'll take information in.
Retain information. Okay.
And so it's just important for you parents to be aware of how your child might learn. So that's something we want you to be mindful of as they're growing up. What type of learner is your child? And we're going to share some more styles of learning styles with you as we continue on. But the 3 styles that you should be aware of is your child, or at least ask your child or ask yourself.
Yes.
Is my child a hands-on learner, a visual learner, or an auditory learner?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I love on that. Because I know, like, with going to school, a lot of people like to do the online classes. Mm-hmm. And I've tried to do the online classes, and I'm like, okay, I don't feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. I like to go, and I like to walk on the campus. I like to sit in the classroom. Yeah. I like to
interact with people.
I want to interact. Yeah. I want to have conversation with the professor if I don't understand something. Because online it's not personal.
That's right.
And you're online with other students. And sometimes the professor's on and sometimes the professor's not. And if I have a question and my peers can't answer, like, we're all like,
feedback.
Okay,
yeah.
Then you got to send an email. So I like to be in the classroom, but I'm hands-on. I'm a hands-on learner, audio, because my visual perception kicks in. Because you can read something and my visual perception will give me the story, will outline it in everything.
Yeah, you see it
and
in
I
your
can
head.
see
That's
it in my
great.
head.
That's great.
And
so you operate in all of them.
Yes, I'm a little bit of everything.
Right, which is great, which makes it that much easier for you at school.
Yes.
And once you kind of know which way you learn best, it opens up a lot of doors for you to be more successful in school.
That sounds so smart. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's smart.
That's right.
That sounds so smart. Yeah, that's right.
I like that.
Another thing parents to be aware of is you might not find what type of learner your child is. and it might be some hesitation, it might be some hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
And then a teacher will call you to set up a meeting because out of 20 kids, this one just doesn't get it.
And that one could be your child.
And that one could be your
and
child.
Here comes the parent having to
have this
conversation with the teacher and whoever might be there.
You know, Johnny, we read the story 5 times. We stayed after school. I met him early this morning. He still didn't get it. Didn't answer one question.
Right.
And the next thing they're going to say is, little Johnny might need to be tested. And then immediately your child is labeled into special ed. Now,
or
that's not always a bad thing.
No.
That's not always a bad thing, because you catch it early, you clear it up quickly.
That's right. Catching skills that your child may need help with early is valuable.
Yes.
And parents, we cannot deny ourselves of the information. There's nothing. Part of growing up in life is learning what our strengths and weaknesses are.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone else can point that out for us, we have to be open-minded enough to hear them out, and then look at our child, speak with our child, work with our child, and see if that's what we also see.
Mm-hmm.
And then work on how we can bridge the gap in the learning if there is one.
Yes.
And not to look at that fearfully or look at it as a deficit and, oh no, my child's not going to do well in life. No. Your child's going to do well in life. We'll all do well in life. We just have to work together.
Yes.
And the earlier we can find things and ways to help one another, the better.
The better. And sometimes we as parents, because we're in denial, we hinder our child from so many different experiences and so many different challenges and opportunities because we are afraid of what other people will say about our children or how they will treat our children. That's why you must always advocate for your child. You're like I said before, you are the first teacher that your child interacts with. So, you have to leave out those words like no, can't, didn't, wouldn't. You have to leave out all that negativity and help them, push them, to be just as smart and successful as any other child.
That's right.
But oftentimes we don't do it, and you want to fight with the teachers or the counselors who are trying to help you. So you have to be open-minded, and you don't always have to, take the word of the teacher or the counselor or the principal. Reach out. There are so many parents who go through
other opinions.
This, and and professionally get other opinions, or network and find out, there's other parents like you, and what did they do in helping their children, and it all works out. Because the common goal is to help the child.
Right.
So that's what we have to remember.
That's so true.
And in the classrooms, we touched upon this last week with helping children become successful. Sometimes with going back to school, we don't get the whole picture of what the teacher is going to present to our children throughout the year. You get it bit by bit. There's nothing wrong with sending the teacher an email, introducing yourself, and letting them know a little bit about your child.
Or a letter.
Not
everyone's
the computer.
However
technology.
Right. So even a note is still good and still valuable.
And, telling them a little bit about your child and find out what are they going to do to help you, help your child become successful.
That's right. And one other person had commented, also when children are choosing activities and things that they like to do, that not only, let's say if a father was a great basketball player, doesn't mean that your son has to only do basketball or engage in that activity. Now, yes, gifts are passed along in the gene pool, and sometimes, sometimes, and sometimes they're not, and that's okay. It's important for parents, all of us, to let children discover what they want to do, who they want to be, and what their purpose is. Everyone has a purpose, and it could be different from what maybe your dream was personally. So it's important for parents to let children try many things and encourage them on many things.
Mm-hmm.
And not say, oh, don't you want to just do this? And put that pressure on that one sport or one activity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's fine to let them try it, yes. However, let them, if they also want to do gymnastics or something different, give them that opportunity, because
mm-hmm.
that could be the very thing that is a blessing in their life.
Exactly. Because, oftentimes parents will say, okay, your child's 5, they want to go and take ballet. Mm-hmm. And then at 7, they want to say, oh, I want to do tap. Mm-hmm. And then at 10, they want to play tennis. And you're paying all this money.
Right.
And you're buying all this equipment and stuff, and just piling up. And they just didn't find it. Mm-hmm. And then it could be 16 and they find it.
That's right. So
and that's what you have to go through. Exactly. Never give up. Let them just try whatever they want to try, as many times as they want to try, to find out what piques their interest. Right. And what they enjoy. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Again, it's all about the children. Yes. It's all about the kids, the babies.
Yes, no need to be stressed this school year. Mm-hmm. Keep a positive outlook. It's early. Tell your children it's going to be great. We know we have to fall to get back up sometimes. That's all right. It's part of learning. Yes. So,
and take the time. Take the time. If it's just 15 minutes, take the time and have a conversation with your children.
That's right.
Discuss
Always
the
have
homework. Make sure they understand what the teacher sent to them. Mm-hmm. Check notebooks, check planners. See if they're organized, and that's important to make sure your children are organized. Because if they're organized, they'll have all their papers together, with their binders or the notebooks or whatever. But take the time. If it's just 15 minutes in the evening, take the time and sit with them and find out what's going on in their lives.
And as they're getting organized, if you're a parent that isn't organized, maybe you should start taking some notes too.
Exactly.
Because kids live what they see, and modeling is powerful.
That's a great one, yes. Yes, be the model for your children. Mm-hmm. Again, in every way. Yes. And until next time,
yes.
Conversations with Cathy and Erin. Good night.
Good night. Have a good night.
Be sure to tune in next week, where our topic will be Relationships 101. We have all been there. We have all done the first date, the second date. Might be with 2 different people. But we're going to try to give some tips on how to get it right.
Yes.
And we'll have some guests on the panel who will have questions and just want to get a little bit more information to find out if they're doing it the right way. So be sure to stay tuned while we have that in-depth
conversation
with Cathy and Erin.
Next week.